So today I have a few things, a few key tips to help you out with solo gameplay, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I have been requested this video, Torkie, how do I play solo? Where do I go? How do I do things and stuff? Most of you guys know I play solo. I've been playing solo Tarkov since day one, really. Played with friends, of course, but 95% of my raids since 2018 have been basically just solo. So over the years, over the hours I've played, I've picked up some things that I would want to share with you guys. If you're a new player, which I know there's many new players right now playing because of the recent wipe with streets coming out and stuff like that. So Tarkov's been all over the place. So there's obviously a lot of people right now. They're probably waiting on their friends to join, to play, to get on Tarkov, and they're probably like, dude, I want to go in, but I don't want to wait for too long. I want to jump in solo, but I don't want to wait for my friends, or you want to get some stuff done. And there's a lot of anxiety behind it. There's a lot of fear, gear fear, of course, because if you're playing solo, there's no one there to throw your gear in a bush, because if you die, you're gonna probably lose it. You're not gonna get it back, whatever. There's a lot of dread in playing solo. But today, hopefully, I'm gonna share with you guys some tips that will help you, extract, get your kills, get your loot, and feel good about it, and get better at the game, and enjoy solo play as much or maybe even more than team play. Today we have 3 tips we're gonna go through, and we're gonna explain it a little bit. We're not gonna go too much into detail, so I don't want to bore the hell out of you guys. I don't want to be like, yo, what the hell? This is just too complicated. So we're gonna go briefly through it, and I want you guys to understand. I'm gonna make it easy for you guys to understand them, and hopefully you guys can get in, start playing, kick ass, and go with it. Now, this is going to be a 2-part video, so there's going to be another 3 tips video, whatever you want to call it, part 2, coming out in a few days from this video's upload. So the first tip we're going to be talking about today is basically plan the raid and raid the plan. You have to plan the raid and raid the plan. So if you're new to the game, you're probably going to be like, I don't know what the plan, I don't know what the quests are. You're probably checking them out on the wiki. So if you're new to the game, I highly suggest making yourself a tutorial, basically. So if this is like your first week, your first 2 weeks of playing Tarkov, make sure to select the map, go in offline mode, and just run it without any scavs. Make sure you get used to the map. Make sure you get used to the extracts, where the loots are, the loot spots are, and stuff like that. And if you want, you can add maybe some scavs just to get the hang of it, to the shooting, to the gun mechanics and stuff like that. And if you're not so new, basically, if you have a quest, right, or multiple quests in a map, and you're like, dude, I want to hit these quests, I'm alone, how am I going to do it? So basically, you have to look at the quests, find out where they are, and then, obviously, it determines where you're going to be spawning. So, you spawn in, the moment you see the spawn, you're like, okay, we got to go straight that direction to hit, goal 1, then we got to go to goal 2, goal 3, and get out. Now, do not, if you're planning to just to do a quest run, just do a quest run. If you're planning to do a loot run, do a loot run. If you're planning to do a PvP run, do a PvP run. Make sure you have a plan before you join into a raid, because this is what gets most people killed. Not having a plan, they're running out in the middle of nowhere. They're just running around like headless chickens. Don't do this. This will get you killed. You're not gonna get out. You're just not gonna get out. You're gonna if you do get out, you're lucky, because you need to have a plan in Tarkov. You need to know what your goal is, what your next goal is. Once you get to goal 1, you complete goal 1, you pick up, I don't know, maybe you need to pick up an item for a quest. Maybe there's another item. Maybe you have to mark a tank next one, or there's like a few tanks you have to mark throughout the map, like customs, for example. You have to go from one part to the next part, and keeping the next part like your main goal. Do not veer off for a scav kill. Do not veer off for a PMC kill. If you want to extract, that is. Now, if you want to spice it up, that is truly up to you, but make sure you stick to your goal and get to your goal. And obviously the last goal is to extract. So make sure your pathway, as you're going through the map, okay, will lead eventually will lead close to your extraction. That's how I try to plan my early raid, early wipe runs. Okay, so try to do that as much as you can. Plan the raid and rate the plan. Make sure you know what your objectives are. Make sure you go for them, hit them, get out. That's it. Second tip we're going to be talking about is versatility. Versatility can be pretty vast in Tarkov. It starts from your gear and ends from your gun. So you got your armor, you got your clothes, whatever, the stuff that you wear, and then you have whatever you're armed with. It could be an AK-74, could be an MDR, it could be a Mosin, whatever. Basically, you need to find a firearm or a gun, whatever, that is best suited for you and is capable of taking care of long range shooting, medium range shooting, and close range shooting. So you have basically a multi-tool to tackle whatever situation that is thrown at you. Let's say there is a group of like, I don't know, there's a two-man 125 meters away. If you have an AK-74U with a holographic sight, excuse me, with a holographic sight or whatever, you know, close quarter red dot, you're not going to be able to do much. It's going to be difficult for you to tackle it. But if you have, I don't know, maybe you have a hammer sight or even a PSO sight. Now, PSO sights, in my opinion, are the best and cheapest scopes you can actually get early game Tarkov. The way I do it, I grab a PSO scope on AK-74. I run whatever ammo I have. Basically, PS ammo is probably the best to run when you're just starting off, when you're like level 5 or whatever, because that's like the only ammo you can actually use at that time, like the best ammo you can use. And try to find if you can put a laser on your gun, so you can use the laser to point fire targets at a close distance, and then you have the PSO scope to take people out at a medium to long range distance. Having a weapon that can be used for various situations is how you get out and win. If you're running around with a, I don't know, like an RPK, like I said, or a gun that is more suitable for close range combat, and you may stumble upon a long range situation, let's say on woods or shoreline or even custom sometimes, or even resort. Even sometimes in resort, those corridors can be pretty daunting sometimes. You think, you know, holographic in there might be suited because, you know, it's like corner to corner, door to door, but sometimes in resort, you're gonna need something long range. You might see like a two-man or even a solo player on the other side of the corridor, and you need to snuff them out basically. So make sure you have a gun that could do close range, medium range, and long range. Okay. Now there's many guns you could use. You could use RPK. You could use AK-74U. You can use SKS. Now it is totally up to you. Whatever you like, whatever you enjoy, whatever feels best for you. What I like to use is an AK-74U with a PSO scope. Maybe, I don't know, if you find some BT rounds or BP rounds, use them and just tap heads with it. It's very easy. It doesn't feel too clunky to use. And if you have a laser on this thing, you're gonna take out most of your opposition in close quarter combat. This thing is pretty strong. Early wipe. I feel like people use it all the time, but they don't really utilize the full potential of the AK-74U. And make sure, or excuse me, AK-74, and make sure you have this little thing right here, this dovetail. This is where you're able to put a PSO scope on it. If you don't have this, you're gonna have to put a rail dust cover thing on your AK, okay? And then you're gonna have to buy a more expensive scope, which you don't really need. And the third most important element or point or whatever about playing solo is basically audio. Audio is number one when you're playing solo, okay? Like, there's nothing more important than having good audio when you're playing alone. So basically, if you're playing solo, whatever you hear, whatever gunshots you hear, whatever grenades you hear exploding in the distance, whatever scavs you hear yelling, or whatever footsteps you hear, everything is a threat. Every single somewhat activity of audio throughout the map, whether it being close to you or very far away, it's a threat. Now this wipe, unfortunately, audio has been kind of screwed up. It's kind of all over the place. It's really hard for you to understand where your enemy is, or whatever, like AI or boss, whatever. Basically, it just feels they could either, like, you could be in the first story of like, let's say, resort. You could be in ground floor, and you can hear a guy in third floor, and it feels like they're with you in the same floor. Same thing with interchange. Same things with I believe Lighthouse. So there's a lot of that going on. You need to understand that audio right now is very inaccurate. It's very inaccurate. But what's going on with audio, which is kind of helpful in a way, it feels like we have really high perception, so we can hear enemies' footsteps at, it feels like from a longer distance. So weirdly enough, we can get a better understanding where someone is before they're like too close to us. But sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes they can rush you. They could be with you in the same level. They can rush you, and you will not hear anything. So audio right now, it's a little complicated to understand. There's a lot going on. I hope Battlestate can, figure something out, get it together a little bit with the audio, because it is kind of crazy right now. It is hard to understand, even for me as a solo player that I've been playing playing solo forever, and it's kind of hard, basically. But I want you guys to understand one thing, though. Let's talk about a scenario, okay? You just spawned in. And you start hearing gunshots. A few seconds in your raid, you start hearing gunshots. But let's say on the other side of the map. Do not ignore that. Don't ignore whatever you hear in the map. If you hear grenades going off, if you hear sniper shots going off, if you hear whatever going off, try to keep a memory of what direction that activity, that audio came from, because you do not want to go straight into it and forget that there was activity there, because give or take, right now people are a bit slower in their gameplay, okay? So they're not going to veer too much off from that distance. Obviously they will veer off, but it depends how close and how quick you get to that source of audio, or like, let's say, gunshots or explosion. So always keep an idea of where the gunshots are coming from. If it's suppressed fire, you'll understand if it's suppressed fire. Basically, you can hear gunshot, like you can hear bullet impacts on metal, on like concrete and stuff like that. If you hear that kind of stuff, keep an eye out. Basically, there's a person out there with a suppressor on their firearm, so it's gonna be a little bit more trickier for you to understand where the gunshots are coming from. But you can hear the point of impact of those bullets, and you can somewhat determine where they're shooting at. Okay, so eventually they're going to go to that position of where they shot at, if they had a suppressor, that is. It could be a scav, could be another player, and then you can also choose if you wanted to tackle that situation, or you just don't want to have any business with that. You just want to veer off and not get involved. You could do that. Basically, audio will almost determine if you extract or not. So you have to really study audio, see where it goes, where it is. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on with audio, especially this wipe. So it's kind of crazy. You have to understand it. Like I said, study where the audio is coming from. If you hear gunshots in the next building, there's probably going to be people in there, obviously. And whatever, if you guys hear gunshots, there's always a player. There's a lot of new players right now. They may think gunshots can just happen from an AI or maybe to another AI. That doesn't really happen. If you hear gunshots, there is player activity there, okay? There's going to be player activity, whether they're fighting a scav or a boss or other players. There's danger. Now, it's up to you if you want to tackle it, and it's up to you if you want to just skip it. It's totally up to you. Now, like I said, if you want to skip it, make sure you skip it right. Not too loud. You get around and just keep on going. And if you want to tackle it, then There's a lot of ways you can tackle it. Depends on the situation. It depends if it's out in the open. You can throw grenades to hide your footsteps. Now, this is a very good key. There's a lot of... for one, I throw grenades not to kill the enemy most of the time, but to hide my footsteps. So I could throw a grenade at the direction of whatever's happening, and I could throw a grenade, it goes boom, you know, whatever, it explodes, and then it leaves this echo. So that echo, the explosion and the echo of the bomb, of the explosion, okay, will hide your footsteps, will hide your sprint. So you can just throw a grenade, and as it's about to explode, make sure it's not in your, it's not close to you, of course, because you get blown up with it. So you throw a grenade and you push. Basically, it goes off and you push. And when you push, you go sprint. You sprint in, but make sure you're about to release that shift and you're gonna start blasting. You have to stay prepared to release that shift, and you're gonna start blasting. Okay? You're gonna point fire. You're gonna whatever. You have to prepare yourself for a fight. Now, people get disoriented when they hear grenades coming off. So what they do is they start running. If you're going through, if you're like, let's say you're running in and they hear the grenade landing and it goes off, they're gonna start running. So you're going in and you're gonna see them running around. They don't know what's going on. They're disoriented, but you know, because you planned the whole audio situation with the grenade, and you're sprinting in, and they will not be able to hear your footsteps too much. So you have, you know, the surprise. You have the surprise. You can ambush them that way, take them out, secure the situation, and get out, you know? So there's a lot of situations with audio you can work around, but that's gonna be it for me for this video, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys want to know more about how to play solo, I'm gonna have another video coming through in a few days, like I said, and it's gonna, you know, have 3 more elements, 3 more tips that we're gonna be going through, you know, like weight management and confidence, and, you know, covering your tracks, basically stuff like that. Okay, so it's gonna be pretty interesting to talk about. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to hit a subscribe. I want to thank you all for the crazy amount of support on YouTube lately. It's been absolutely wild. It's just been crazy. We're basically less than 1,000 hours away from hitting YouTube partners. So if you guys could share this video, thumbs up, comment, whatever, tell me, Torkie, you're full of shit. You don't know what you're talking about. I'd appreciate it. I'd appreciate it. Please, if there's any solo players out there, let me know what you think. Please give your input into this. Add more into this so we can talk about it and see how other solo players work. Okay, guys, thank you so much. I'll see you guys in Tarkov.